Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The one you've all been waiting for. Welcome to the season finale of the LMP2 Championship. We're here in sunny Daytona for round 8 of, obviously, like I've just said, the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship at the Daytona road course layout. Track has 12 corners, 7 to the left and 6 to the right, with turns 7, 8, 11 and 12 being infamous for forming part of the oval layout, with a banking of 31 degrees. Speaking of degrees, the current track temperature is sitting at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not too sure what that is in Celsius off the top of my head. I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me. And ambient temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be a pretty warm one here, and especially the banking is going to be hard on the tyres. Those right sides are going to be screaming out for pain. As I mentioned earlier, it's the final race of the season, and what a season it has been. It's been drama, action, suspense, and everything else you could ever want for an incredible season here at Flux Motorsport. Currently sitting at the top of the standings is eMotorsports, although at the moment he appears to have not been able to make it to qualifying. We really hope that he shows up eventually, because otherwise it'll be a bit of a Bruce Law, who is currently second in the standings, only 9 points behind Immortalis. And but if Immortalis doesn't show up tonight, then it'll hopefully be a comfortable win for Bruce Law. I say hopefully for him, but for the rest of us, it would make for a bit of a boring race. So we hope that. So as we look down the rest of the standings, things get even tighter. Spankmeyer in 9th and Porscheman in 10th are neck and neck on the exact same amount of points as each other. So watch out for those two on track today, see who comes out on top. This is the same with Green Gaming in 11th and Lecky in 12th, although it appears that Lecky hasn't been able to join us here tonight either. So we hope he shows up sometime as well. In order to start our bit of a battle with Green Gaming. And we got Muttley in chat telling me it's approximately 36 degrees C. So yep, nice and toasty here in Daytona, and should make for a lovely race. I was on about Immortalis earlier, so let's take a quick look at how he's been doing so far this season. He racked up 5 consecutive pole positions and fastest laps, but it all came crashing down spectacularly last week at Indianapolis, when Giona came out of the blue to earn his first ever win and deny Immortalis of some crucial points. Immortalis ended up finishing 3rd, I believe. Yes, he did. 3rd last time out. Bruce Law got the pole position for the first time so far this season, and Lecky 2000 actually got the fastest lap. And if you can quite recall your memory back to last week, you'll remember that Lecky 2000 was actually doing really well in the Marek, but was just on the wrong strategy and had to pit, and that lost him lots of time indeed. There's about 14 minutes now of this qualifying session left to go. Currently sat at the top is Bruce Law, who we are currently trackside with, following him around. And let's take a quick on board with him in the cockpit view and see how he's getting on. You can see here as he just comes down to this really tricky left-handed hairpin. It's almost sort of a double apex hairpin, but really unique kind of corner, and you get up onto this huge banking, 31 degrees as I said earlier. So it's really going to be an interesting one. Although in these high downforce cars, it's not going to be too bad on the tyres, but it is going to wear them out just that little bit. Let's go into this horrible little hairpin here. Trying to fit two of these LMP2 cars side by side is not going to be easy if you're trying to go for an overtake there into the bus stop chicane. Come through turns 11 and 12 now, and onto the front stretch as they call it. You can see there's even a bit of banking just on the front stretch, trying to get as close down to the bottom as you can to carry as much speed as possible. And across the line as Bruce Law sets a 1:33.860, really good time. And Giona currently in second place, so Giona's still showing some good pace there, which is really strange. He kind of came out of nowhere in this LMP2 season. He only made his debut in the Kota GP round of the calendar, round 6 that was, 2 weeks ago, where he finished second. And that was a really strong outing, although some people initially put it down to luck, or maybe just a good or something like that. But then he blew us all away last week and got his first ever victory, which really just shook up the standings, and has caused him to go all the way up to 6th in the standings after only 2 races. So really good showing from Giona so far. And in 3rd place, you'll currently spot Lil God, aka Steve. Currently sat in 3rd place, as I said, for 1:34.471. A really good time for him in there, considering that he is a reserve driver who's just been called in for this one single race. He only got the call for the race about 15 or 20 minutes ago, and he seems to be beating some of our full-time LMP2 drivers here, so it just shows how much pace he's got in any car, really. Chris M Sport as well, you'll see down there in 12th at the moment. He has been handed a qualifying ban for racking up 6 license points, which means that he'll not be sent a time, and will start from the back of the grid. So if you see him just sitting in the pits the entire time, that'll be why. Let's have a look at McToasty at the moment. It's kind of the best time so far. It's a 1:35.178, as you can see there on the left hand side of the screen. It's a pretty good time from him, to be honest. He's had a bit of a, I'd say, a consistent season. Usually just in the mid pack, really. Taking a look at his results so far, he was 5th, 7th round 1 in Dubai, 5th in round 2 at Zhuhai. Then he got 2nd place, his highest finish of the season, round 3 at Sakito. Then he got another podium at Bathurst, came 3rd there. Then it was 4th at Kota and 6th last time out in Indianapolis. So he's done pretty well this season. Nice consistent driving from him. Never really one of the quickest, but never at the back either. He's currently sat 3rd in the standings, comfortably 3rd. There's not really anyone to challenge him from behind. The gap to Dirk Diggler in 4th behind him in the standings is 30 points. And speaking of Dirk Diggler, he's currently sat in 5th at 1:35.575, about 4 tenths off McToasty there. I've just seen in chat, we got Justin Cutler saying it's awesome watching these cars fly through the bus stop section. It really is. They got so much downforce in these LMP2s. It's just really mesmerising to watch and see Dirk Diggler there just go through the bus stop. As the clock ticks down to about 8.5 minutes to go, Bruce Law's still got a commanding lead in 1st place at the moment. Giona sat behind him in the 2nd with a about 5.5 tenths gap to Bruce Law in front. Tosi's just gone into the pits by the looks of things, maybe changing some setup tweaks, or perhaps just putting a race setup on to do a little bit of testing while he's got time. If I were him, I'd be quite happy with that lap time. So I would probably, right about now, maybe, if he felt comfortable enough, just sticking on a bit more fuel, sticking on some different set tyres maybe, if he thinks he needs to put the hards on for the race. Just sticking the race setup on, just seeing how things go for a couple of laps. Looking down the rest of the grid, as I said, we have Dirk de Glen in 5th. Tyjo currently sat in 6th. Tyjo's has a very strange season, to be honest. He did really well last season in the LMP2s, coming 3rd in the championship at the end. But he's just not really clicked this season. He's had some unlucky moments as well. But he's definitely got pace. It's just that, like I said, some unlucky moments. He came 9th first time out in Dubai, followed by a woeful 12th place finish in Zhuhai round 2. Then it was a 6th at Sakito, another 6th at Bathurst. He was absent for the Dakota Grand Prix. Then it was a 5th at Indy. So again, about in the mid-pack really. It's just that obviously in some of the races he's been unlucky. And then Jack Demendis in chat saying that Bruce needs 10th to win the title if Immortalis doesn't show up. And I believe that Bruce Law should be able to do that comfortably. But obviously it would be great if Immortalis showed up, because I suspect Bruce Law wouldn't want to win it this way. He would want a proper fight between himself and Immortalis for the title. But yeah, hopefully Immortalis shows up in time for the start of the race, even if he doesn't show up in time for qualifying. As we see, is that Spankmeyer there, who was just coming? Yes, it was. He was just coming out the pits there and seemed to put himself back into the garage. It was very strange. Not too sure what happened there. He just looked to be about to come out the pits onto the circuit and just sent himself back again. Very strange. Let's see, is that ghosting there? I'm not too sure who that is there. I can't really make out the number of the car. Yeah, I'm not too sure what was happening there. I've got Muttley in chat saying he's been calling Immortalis, but no idea what's happened to him. I'm afraid to say he's not home. It's a shame there. Like I said, we really want to see Immortalis come in. We want to see him fight for his championship win. But you got to give credit to Bruce Law as well for what a great season he's had. Bruce Law, he's always just been lurking in the shadows for most of this season. I think for every single round he's got a podium. Yes, he has. If I just take a look at my spreadsheet here, yep. He got a second in round 1. He won round 2. Third round 3. Third again in round... sorry, no, he won in round 5. Because obviously we skipped round 4 because of we had some server issues, if you can remember. Third in round 6, and he came second last time out in Indy Road. So he's just always been up there, Bruce Law. Whereas Immortalis, again, he's been really fast in some places, but just not that consistent. He likes to take risks. He's a very daring driver, whereas Bruce Law is the complete opposite. He likes to find a line and just stay at that line. As Green Gaming there makes a big lockup going into the hairpin. What is that corner called again? The horseshoe, that's the one. And Justin Cutler saying Green Gaming is 7th, not a bad quality. Yeah, it's not a bad quality from him at all. Green Gaming is currently sat 10th in the standings, so 7th place quality for him is actually pretty good. As I've just seen there, Lil God has improved on his time and made his way up into second place. Jonah's improved as well a little bit, but still can only make do for third. Let's take a little on board once more with Bruce Lawson. We just saw Jonah there locking up as well into the horseshoe, so it seems to be a very tricky corner for these drivers to get right. We could see quite a lot of front right tyre wear if they continue to keep locking up through there. But yeah, let's have a quick look on board with Bruce Laws. He just comes up onto the banking here. You can just tell when you go into the cockpit view here how steep that banking is. I know for a fact that in real life, if you tried to walk up there, you'd need some really powerful legs. As he flies into the bus up there, braking about the 100-metre mark, and just gliding through it, hitting every apex he can. Up onto the banking once again for turns 11 and 12. Getting nice and low to the ground because that will help you carry some speed. If you get up onto the top of that banking a bit too much, you can lose a bit of speed and possibly risk tapping the wall as well, which will not do you any good whatsoever. Carrying lots of speed into this really scary turn 1. So hard to get right through there. And Bruce Law getting nice and wide, carry some speed through there. Into the horseshoe. Now this is where all the drivers have been making some mistakes. It sounded to me like he might have locked up a little bit as well there, as Lil God just set another great time of 134.028. Not quite getting into the 133s like Bruce Law has, but that is a spectacular time from him there, considering that he has had barely any practice and hasn't raced in any championship this season other than the LMP2s and I believe another series. I'll just quickly check for you. Yeah, no, sorry, just GT1s that he's been in. So yeah. Sorry, did I say he's not been in any other series other than LMP2s? Sorry, I meant GT1s. So clock ticks down now to about 25 seconds to go. These drivers will be getting in their last lap times. Seems that Lil God and McToasty have both sent themselves to the pits, so they're done for today. Jonah seems to have just crossed the line there, so he'll squeeze in one more lap. As Bruce Law, as he also just crossed the line time, so both of these drivers will squeeze in one more lap. Green Gaming is just coming through turns 11 and 12 there. That's a great camera angle right there. They just look so smooth, these cars. And as qualifying comes to a close, let me know in the chat what your predictions are for today's race winner. And Green Gaming here is about to come over the line. Let's see if he can improve on his time of a 136.182. It's a 135.690, so he does improve, but he stays in 7th place. Good time though from Bruce Law though. Sorry, from Green Gaming. As you see Jonah there just going through the bus stop for the final time, followed by Bruce Law. We're going to hang on with Jonah for now and then flick over to Bruce Law as soon as Jonah crosses the finish line. So you got Team Angie and Justin Cutler in chat, both going with Bruce Law for today's winner. Is it going to be an improvement from Jonah? Doesn't look like it has been. There's been an improvement from Bruce Law. It's not an improvement from him either. And Mutley in the chat saying he's been watching Bruce this season. Very consistent, very smooth driver. He is indeed. Like I was saying earlier, he just finds the line and he sticks to it for the whole race. So let's run through your qualifying positions for this race. Bruce Law takes the pole position with a brilliant lap time of 1:33.860, the only 1:33 lap time so far. Lil God takes second place. That's a really good outing from him there, especially considering he was called up to race only about half an hour ago and barely had time to practice. Jonah takes third with a 1:34.198. Good time from him there. McToasty is in fourth, Tycho fifth, Dirt Diggler sixth, Green Gaming is in seventh, a strong qualifying from him. Portran in eighth, Mark in ninth, Wardy in 10th, Spankmar in 11th, and Chris M Sport is in 12th after serving a qualifying penalty. And it looks like Porscheman has got a one-place grid penalty, so he'll be starting in 9th. Justin Cutler saying, see if it keeps clean turn 1. You're right, it's going to be very tricky to get into turn 1, and you have to remember as well, since this is at the Daytona road course, they don't actually have any allotted grid slots, so it has to be a rolling start, meaning that the driver's going to be going quite fast into turn 1, possibly even up to the normal full speed that they would be entering. And so if you've got 12 drivers all going into that same tricky turn 1 left-hander, there's definitely going to be an incident, I think. Chances are someone will get taken out. And Jack de Mendes going for Lil God for the win, just to keep it interesting. We always like a bit of a spice in these LMP2s, and it would certainly cause an uproar if Lil God won today. And there's about 40 seconds left here of the tinker time, where the drivers can refine their setups and set their pit strategies for the race. But of course, those pit strategies could completely go out the window if they pick up some damage along the way. I think for my winner today, I'm going to have to go with Giona. One, just to keep it interesting as well, and two, I think he's on the inside line there, and he's got the pace to do really well, and it would certainly be interesting to see him winning here today. As we see, oh god, all the drivers getting it a bit wrong there on the rolling start as we get ready. And the lights out, and away we go. And who's that? Who's just stopped on the middle of the grid? Massive collision there at the back. Was that Chris M Sport? I think it was. It looked like he just stopped on the standing start. And Jonas up into second place already. Lil Gol has fallen down to third. And looks like we've got a retirement already. I'm not too sure who's retired there. And it's Jonah in second place there. As soon as I say that, it looks like a little god might be going for an overtake there, but he's just a bit too far back. Let's go flick to the back of the grid here. Looks like Wardy's completely lost his rear wing, although Chris Imsport looks fine, so possibly a little bit of lag there maybe. I'm not too sure, but everyone else looks fine. But certainly a really weird incident, that one. That's a lovely camera angle there. And Tiger's up into 4th place. McToasty slipped down to 5th. Green Gaming still in 7th. Let's go on board with Lil God here as he gets into the draft of Giona. So hurtling into the bus stop for the first time here. Oh, Giona's got it a little bit wide there. It's going to give Lil God the propulsion to maybe get past here. He's not in the draft at the moment. He's going to slot in there, just get a little bit of draft, but is he going to be able to go around the outside of Jonah here? Jonah's doing really good defensive driving to keep the inside line, but Lil God has indeed gone around the outside. It's too wide here. but Jonah keeps the place. And Jack Man's saying it looks like Mark disconnected on the start line, so that'll be why the big incident. He just, yeah, he must have disconnected or something like that, because he just stopped as Little God goes up the inside. Jonah getting it wide again. Oh, just a little bit of a tap there from Jonah to the back of Little God. Nothing too serious though, as we see Chris M Sport coming into the pits. Yeah, that looks like it's just pure damage there. And as Wardy as well. Let's take a look at McToasty at the moment. He's fallen back a bit from the start. He's slipped down to 5th place. Tyjo's gone up to 4th. Justin Cutler saying that Jonah's feeling the pressure for sure. I'm sure he is indeed. He'll want to get into a bit of a rhythm as soon as he can, because if he keeps this up, he'll start slipping down even more positions. Now this has really played into Giona's hands though here. Or else he just goes around the outside of Little God. Little God seems to be really slow there. What has happened to Little God? He's possibly, I think he might have just gone a bit too far on the inside on the banking, and he just maybe touched his wheels on the part where the banking meets the flat, and that can really unsettle the car and can lose you a lot of speed. So I think that's probably what's happened there. And this has set up Tyjo McToasty perfectly here. Let's hop on board with McToasty to get a nice view of this action. As Little God goes really wide there. So head here into turn 6 and then up onto the banking in turn 7. You can just see there far off in the distance, you can see the green and black car of Bruce Law. This is going to play into McToasty's hands a little bit here. He's going to have a bit of draft. He's a bit too far back to make it really noticeable. But is that is Little God again? Why is he so slow on the straights there? I'm not too sure what's happened here. Possibly a throttle issue with his throttle pedal. But really slow on the straights. This is really peculiar. I've never seen something like this before. Little God is just sinking down now. But he seems to be catching up now, so possibly, I think this is a smart move from Little God here, and this is actually just some fuel saving that he's doing. Because from the drivers I've heard that you can't actually get to the end of this race on a full tank of fuel, and yeah, I think Little God is just fuel saving early on here. He thinks that if he keeps doing that on the banking, he'll make up some positions later on in the race as he goes around the outside there into the left-handed kink there, and it's going to have the inside line past Tyjo. Tyjo goes really wide onto the grass, and that lets McToasty past, and Dirk Diggler is right behind him now. This is some great racing so far, as you saw Tyjo there going wide again. Let's have a look at Little God again now. Let's see if he's still fuel saving. Doesn't look like it. No, I think Little God now just going flat out, and Joan has fallen behind on Bruce Law now. Gap is about 2.5 seconds. That sounds like quite a bad lap time from Jonah there. The last lap was a 1:40.579. That's a bit of an odd lap. Let's see what kind of lap times he gets here now. So 1:36.361, so still about half a second slower than Bruce Law. And in chat you can just see there, Muttley is agreeing with me. He says, I think it must be fuel saving on the slowdowns. Yep, I agree with you. And I think he's playing the long game here. And that could be the way to win. Usually Bruce Law is really good at fuel saving as well. So we could see a battle between Bruce Law and Lil God. Just flicking down the grid here, you can just see Taijo has not quite been able to get past McToasty yet. That gap's about 4 tenths, but Taijo's going to have to draft off McToasty in these bankings, especially on the straightaways. As we look down the grid there, you can just see some really close battling between Porscheman and Green Gaming. Green Gaming gets it all kinds of wrong in the bus stop and loses a place to Spankmar. This is really close in the back of the pack at the moment. But as the way things stand at the moment, Bruce Law is going to win the LMP2 championship for the 2nd time in a row. Unless he finds a way to lose a lot of points and sink his way down to 11th at the back of the grid. But that's highly unlikely from a driver of his talent and consistency. So we see Porscheman and Spankmar here going into the pits, both of them just topping up for a little bit of fuel. And they seem to have gone into the same pit box there. I'm not too sure how that's happened, but both those drivers just topping up for a little bit of fuel, so possibly it's working together there to give each other a slipstream on the banking, and they've agreed to each other to go for a one-stop strategy and just go completely flat out and take a little bit of fuel there about 10 minutes into the race, and that should give them enough to make it to the end. Taijo there, really close now to the back of McToasty. Now obviously the thing is, in these LMP2 cars, because of how fast they are, the gaps really close up during the corners. But once you get onto the straightaways and the bankings, the gap starts to widen up a bit, and it makes it hard to catch a draft off the car in front. So you've got to be really close behind the car in front in order to get that slipstream. As McToasty runs really wide there, but Taijo is still just a bit too far back to make a move just yet. And it seems like Lil God has gone past Giona. So Giona must have made a big mistake there. I'm not too sure how that has happened, but Lil God moves up into 2nd place. And he's going to start hunting down Bruce Law now. As we see in the background there, McToasty and Taijo still going at it. Brilliant camera angle here. Just Taijo there taking the slightly wider line. And now Taijo's going to have a really lovely slipstream from McToasty now. Even on the bankings, their gap is quite small. Taijo's going to look to go around the outside, but no, he's just a bit too far back there. If he can get a good run out the bus stop here, and it looks like he has, he might be able to make a move into turn 1. But no, it's just a bit too far back still to make a move. Seems like, yeah, if he's going to make a move, it's going to have to be on this infield section here. And in fact, he's looking up the inside of Matosi there, but thinks better of it and backs out. Whoa. Wouldn't want to press the quit button. Tiger there, just still following Toasty really closely, but he just can't seem to close up the gap enough to make a move. He's clearly faster through the infields, but let's get onto the banking in the straightaways. He's just too far back every single lap. And Lil God now is lapping faster than Bruce Law. Jonah falling back by quite a lot. So that's interesting there. It seems like Jonah's just not into the zone quite as yet. Just seeing your background there, Toasty's catching up to Jonah now, so Jonah's got to be careful not to fall down to 4th place. But he just seems to be losing more and more time every single lap. Possibly some fuel saving here from him, or it could just possibly be a lack of pace. But yeah, Lil God is now lapping about half a second faster than Bruce Law. Bruce Law doing a 136.020 last lap, sorry, and Lil God with a 135.498, and Jonah a 137. And Wardy is in dead last. I think I saw him earlier on coming into the pits twice, and he locks up that front right there. Going to see a lot of that from our drivers today. But yeah, I think I definitely saw him coming into the pits twice. So possibly just a lot of inconsistency from him. He doesn't seem to be lapping that slowly. He's on about the same kind of lap times as Dirk Diggler, who's all the way up in 6th. But yeah, maybe just can't quite find a consistent line. See Bruce Law there on his way to lapping Chris M Sport, who's currently sat in 10th position. And let's flick back on over to the McToasty Taijo battle. Taijo's still right behind McToasty there. Wasn't quite as close to the gap as I thought it was. I think a bit of camera trickery there has fooled me into believing that they were a bit closer than they actually are, but still definitely close. As you can just see there, Taijo taking a consistently wider line, which seems to actually be the slower line in terms of carrying speed onto the banking here. So perhaps Taijo wants to start following Toasty's line through that corner, which is turn 6, I believe. Yeah, turn 6. Yeah, he'll probably want to start following his line through there. It seems like it's working really well for McToasty, but Taijo's line seems to be slowing him down a little bit on the straights. And I've just seen, how on earth have I missed this? Jonah has fallen all the way back down to 5th place. And Taijo just did a lap of a 241.5. That can't be right. He can't have just done a almost 3-minute lap. That can't be right. But Jonah's definitely all the way down in 5th place. So perhaps a bit of a spin from Jonah, or just a lack of pace. Jonah just set a 1:45.7. It's a really slow lap. So I'm not too sure what's happened to Jonah. But that's not like him at all. And Dirk Diggler is a few seconds behind him, and he seems to be closing that gap up. Jack de Menezes wondering if Tyler's been given a big penalty on that lap. I'll just get a quick look at my timing sheets. And he has indeed, actually, been given a 32-second penalty. That is a huge penalty. So I'm not too sure how he's picked that up, but he must have done something really big. In terms of other penalties, he's got Jonah on a 2-second penalty. I presume that's for track limits, as well as a 3-second penalty there for Dirk Diggler. Then it's 2 seconds Porsche Man, 10 seconds for Chris M Sport, and 40 seconds for Wardy. Huge penalty there for Wardy and for Taijo. I'm not too sure how on earth that's happened, but yeah, Wardy also 3 laps down at the moment. So yeah, huge penalty for Taijo, and as things stand at the moment, I believe that with that penalty applied, Taijo would be sat in 6th place, just ahead of Green Gaming. So a really interesting one there. If anyone in the chat could possibly give any ideas for how on earth that's happened. How far up the road is Matosi now? He's about 2 seconds there, so he's really stretched that gap between himself and Taijo. Possibly just Taijo getting the penalty there. Jack Mendes in the chat there, just saying that he got possibly could have gotten the 30 seconds for not returning position to Giona for an illegal overtake, I presume, and then 2 seconds obviously from track limits. So that's a really good possibility there. So he might feel like he doesn't deserve that penalty, so we could see a Stewart inquiry from him at the end of the race. That'll be interesting to see whether he will appeal that decision from the race director of a 30-second penalty. And that's really going to hurt his chances of getting some nice points in the bag. Let's have a quick run through our grid at the moment then. Currently sat in first place is the number 4 car, number 44 car of Bruce Law. Good outing from him so far. You got to kind of expect that with Bruce at this point. He's highly skilled in these high downforce cars, and he can consistently find a quick line, and he just sticks to that line every single lap. Barely makes any mistakes at all. Lil God currently sat in 2nd place. Good showing from him, definitely. Especially after just rocking up to the race as a reserve driver. He's really shaken up the order, and McToasty will probably hate him for snatching away a potential 2nd place for himself there. Obviously McToasty in 3rd at the moment. lapping about a tenth slower than Lil Con in front of him, but he's about 5 seconds behind him. Then 2 seconds behind Toasty, we find Taijo, of course, with the 32-second penalty at the moment. Then 10 seconds behind is Giona. I'm not sure why I said it like that. That sounds really dumb. Giona in 5th there. Dirk Diggler in 6th. Green Gaming in 7th. Actually a quite strong showing from Green Gaming so far. We're used to seeing him a bit further down the grid. And you got Team Angie in chat there. As soon as I was talking about Green Gaming, just mentioning that Green Gaming is doing so well today. He is indeed, actually. He's lapping quicker at the moment than Dirk Diggler ahead of him, and only very slightly slower than Giona. Then we've got Spangmeyer in 8th, who's setting some really good lap times there. For 1:37.194 is his last lap. Then it's Porscheman in 9th, Chris M Sport in 10th, and all the way down in 11th is Wardy, who's had a bit of a nightmare of a race so far. So let's take a very quick look at kind of the fuel capacity that each driver has got at the moment. Bruce saw that on 36 litres. Lil got just slightly under that on 34. But Toasty on 34 as well. It seems like the norm is about 34. It's about my 44 there because of his pit stop. So yeah, most drivers on about 34, 35 litres of fuel. Apart from Bruce Law, who's got 36 there, so that's probably an extra lap of fuel that he's saved. But all that fuel saving from Lil God hasn't really done much. But as Bruce Law crosses the line, let's have a quick onboard lap from him. I'll give you a tour of the track as you come into turn 1 here. Really tricky kind of corner, that sort of double apex left-hander. Then you go into the horseshoe. So easy to run wide here on the exit, but he's kept it nice and tidy, as he always does. Head into turn 4 here, easily flat out in these cars. Just clip the apex on the left-hand kink. And it's the right-handed hairpin of turn 5. And then into the notorious double apex left-hander of turn 6. You got to kind of hit that one apex there, get a little bit wide, and make your way up onto the banking for turns 7 and 8. You want to try and get nice and low there of the banking, but of course the car skips around quite a lot, and so it's sometimes hard to keep a line. Braking about the 100 metre board there, just saw Bruce saw a bit of lift and coasting there, trying to save some fuel through the bus stop and then up onto the banking once more for turns 11 and 12. And it's down into the front stretch here and up onto a little bit more banking. Really unique part about this Daytona circuit is that it's of course a tri-oval, which means that on that front stretch there is a little bit of banking just to keep the cars going really fast. Is there potentially a little bit of battle going on there between Chris M Sport and Porscheman? It looks like there is. They're about a second apart there. And it seems like flicking up the grid a bit, Toasty has indeed pulled away from Taijo by quite a significant amount. About a 3.5 second gap there. But I'm going to stick the cameras back onto Porsche and Chris eMotorsports there, as we see a little battle emerging between those two. With about 18 minutes to go here, I'm going to take a quick look once more at the timings. Just have a look if there's any more penalties have been applied. Wardy's still with that 40-second penalty. Chris eMotorsports with a 13-second still. Porsche around that 2 seconds still. Dirt to deliver a 3-second. Jonan with a 2-second. And Tyjo's 32-second penalty has gone up to 33 now. Possibly an extra 1 second added on for a track limits violation. I see Porsche man there weaving all over the track, trying to defend from Chris eMotorsports. Chris eMotorsports going to go around the outside and slot just in front of Porsche man there. And he gets the move done into turn 1. And I think now is as good as time as any to tell you about our brand new Flux Motorsport social media posts that are going out. We're currently operating a highlight video on every single one of our races across our 7 championships every single week, as well as an overtake of the race video, which is posted on the Flux Motorsport Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages at the end of every race usually, although perhaps sometimes they are a day or two late. Our media team aren't superheroes, so it can take us a little while to get everything edited. And we've also got the introduction of a picture of the results of each race. So if you don't have time to watch the full race and you still don't have time to watch the highlights video, if you go over to our social media pages, you can see the top 10 results for every single one of our races, including this one. And it's as good as time as any if you wish to either become a driver or just a community member, just to get involved in our community Discord, as we are wrapping up the season now. And if you join now and get your evaluation drive done, you can be ready in time for the start of next season in order to book your seat in any championships that you wish to do so. And of course, if you wish to become a driver or just a member of our Discord, if you want to see how we operate and want some behind the scenes action and talk from our drivers, just head to the website www.fluxmotorsport.com. We've had actually some new icons, pictures, text, everything like that. Our very own Lecky 2000 has done a great job there. Of course, we've also got the relatively new still Flux Motorsport shop, where you can get yourself some stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, or indeed phone cases. We've also partnered with Fanatec and a Caliph design. I know some people call it a Sliff, but personally I prefer to call it a Caliph. And if you join our Discord server, you will indeed find some links to their stores where you'll get a discount off any products that you buy from them, providing of course that you use the link. I see Little God there is coming to the pits. Sorry, I was too busy looking at the website. Looks like a little bit of the top of a fuel from Little God. And he's put 35 litres in. I feel like that's a bit too much. I feel that's a lot too much actually. But I just put McToasty up into second place, but I didn't expect that from Little God whatsoever. And also, once you puts Giona up into third place. But a really strange move there from Little God. I'm not too sure why he's done that. Bruce Law there sat with 23 litres of fuel, which should be enough to get him to the end of the race, but maybe Little God just wants to go absolutely flat out now for the last 13 minutes and just go, as I said, go flat out and not have to worry about fuel saving. And it appears that Taijo has fallen back quite a lot now from Toasty. About a 15-second gap there now. And most of the field seems to be quite spread out. So if we take a quick look once more at the timing sheets, you can just see there that with that 33-second penalty that's been applied to Taijo, that will put him down to all the way down into 7th, I believe. Yes, it would. So that will send Taijo all the way down the grid, unless of course he appeals it, which I suspect he probably will. And he's just lapping really slowly there for 147.41 his last lap, and that wasn't because of a penalty, that must have just been because of a mistake from him. Possibly, is he just fuel saving there? I think he might be fuel saving. So just coming to about under 11 minutes to go now in the race before the end of this LMP2 championship. Watch out over the next coming weeks for an announcement of the lineup of tracks for next season in all of our championships, and of course our special event, which is yet to be announced. And of course, if you want to be the first person to hear about that special event, be sure to join our Discord at www.fluxmotorsport.com. But yeah, and whilst you're over there on the website, we always need donations from people. It can be anything, even as little as 50p. It goes a long way to maintaining the servers for websites and just general day-to-day running of the server. Even just spending a little bit of money at the shop will provide us with a bit of cash to help out. We always need donations from people in order to keep the site running, and also to be able to afford research and development for future projects which are in the works. It seems like Jonah now has really caught up to the back of Taijo, and Taijo's lapping really slowly there for 141.7. He's got 13 litres of fuel left. Bruce Law has got 17, so Taijo possibly struggling for fuel there, as well as McToasty. Whereas Jonah is on 14, so only slightly more than Taijo. And Little God is putting out some really fast lap times there. The last lap being a 135.5. Just take a look at the timing sheets in a minute as we just see Jonah there trying to go around the outside of Taijo. Taijo doing some lovely defence and driving to shut the door on him there. But as I was saying, sorry, just see Jonah there just getting really into the back of Taijo. Taking a look at the timesheets, you can see that Bruce Law currently holds the fastest lap of a 1:35.280, and Little God has only set a fast lap of a 1:35.415. So if Little God's aiming for the fastest lap of the race, he's going to need to try a little bit harder than that. And seems like no other penalties have been applied, apart from possibly one on Chris M Sport. I'm not too sure if he had that 30-second penalty before, although I think he did. I see, Taijo there, just hitting against the wall. Possibly could have just been some connection issues there. After all, he does live all the way on the other side of the world, pretty much. But yeah, I'm not too sure if he's picked up damage from that. Oh, and he's definitely going to have picked up damage from that. Jonah just absolutely turns Taijo there. I just don't think Jonah expected Taijo to go so slowly through that corner, and Jonah could do nothing but go into the side of Taijo as Taijo goes spinning and into the wall. And that's going to set Lil God up perfectly now to snatch 4th place. And he has indeed made his way up into 4th. Really easy move there from Lil God. And if you've enjoyed this stream, and I hope you have, then make sure to check out either the highlight videos of some of our past races from this week that have decided championships, or just keep your eyes peeled for the tomorrow night's GT3 race over at Bathurst to decide the title over there. It's currently a two-way battle between Blankfile and Bruce Law. Could Bruce Law make it 2 championship wins in 2 days? Find out tomorrow night. And tonight as well will be the IndyCar championship decider. Although actually I believe Cat Guy has already won the IndyCar championship. He has. Sorry, was that Jonah just going around there? It was indeed, as he almost hits Taijo. Sorry, I completely missed that. I was too busy looking at the standings for the IndyCar, but Jonah just spun around there. I think he might have caught the grass a little bit. But yeah, just completely facing the wrong way, and he was lucky there to not be hit by Little God or Taijo. So a nightmare there for Jonah. Is that McToasty going into the pits? It is indeed. Is that just going to be a top of fuel? It is. He's only got 5 litres left in the tank. And that's going to shake things up a little bit as well. Is the Little God also going to come to the pits? This will be interesting here. He seems to have 18 litres of fuel, so he's either done some amazing fuel saving there, or no, he did actually come into the pits earlier, didn't he? Yes. So Little God's strategy has worked out perfectly here as he overtakes McToasty, and McToasty falls down to 3rd place. Taijo's only got 5 litres of fuel as well, so Taijo's probably going to have to come into the pits next lap. Jonah also on 5 litres of fuel. And Jonah makes his way past Taijo and up into 4th. And we've got iMotorsports in the chat here. Shame I really couldn't make this. Not happy whatsoever. Things happen in life. Best I put out a qualifying. It was a 1:33.4. Well, it was a real shame not to have you here, iMotorsports. It would have been great to have seen you battling with Bruce Law for the championship win. But it's been a great season, lad, and we hope to see you back next year. Is that Porsche man who's just gone into the pits there? Is that damage repair or fuel? I feel like it could have just been damage repair because I believe he came into the pits earlier on. Tycho there on 4 litres of fuel. And I see he ran out of fuel. I think Tycho's ran out of fuel. Maybe not. I'm not too sure what's happening there. He seemed to, by the sounds of his engine, it sounded like he just ran out of fuel. Maybe this is some really intense fuel saving for him. But eMotorsports in the chat again saying, been a great championship battle with Bruce though. Everyone this season, so great to be part of it. Shame I can't return next season to go again. Oh, that is a real shame. But yeah, it's been a great season, and it's been great fun having you around for the entire of it. As we got Tycho, Dirk Diggler, and Green Gaming all coming into the pits there, and it's going to be Tycho out first, and it's going to be Green Gaming as he goes into his pit box, followed by Dirk Diggler in the final car. As no, he's already pitted, and Dirk Diggler's going to come out in front of Tycho here. Tycho already so far down the pit lane there, and Jack Dementis saying that he definitely shut that off in the straight. Heard that too, yeah. I thought it wasn't just me, just strange, possibly thinking that he wasn't going to make it through the pits, as Green Gaming took very long there in the pits. And Bruce Law currently sat with 4 litres of fuel left, so I think he might have timed this to perfection. Let's take a quick look on the cockpit view to have a look at his steering wheel. It's got an average of 3.17 litres per lap there. So he might actually just slow down on the straights here, so he doesn't have to do an extra lap. He's got the room to do it. Meanwhile, Toasty on 9 litres there. Is anyone else running low on fuel? Dirk Diggler's got no fuel left. Dirk Diggler has in fact ran out of fuel. What? This is a huge shocker. He's just come into the pits. How on earth has that happened? Dirk Diggler has actually completely run out of fuel with only 30 seconds left to go. That is a huge fail from him there. And is that was that awarded slowing down? He was just letting someone through. As Jonah's just come out of the pits there. And Bruce Law's gonna force the drivers to do one more lap. I reckon he thinks he can get it to the end there on 2 litres. But Dirk Diggler just completely ran out of fuel. So look in his cockpit there, an average of 0.17 litres of fuel. And the chat is going wild. Immortalis with Dirk unlucky. Tractor Fences with a kick in the Digglers. It certainly is. And Muttley possibly thinking that is a pit crew error. Maybe he just forgot to set it. Does he think that if he doesn't retire here, he'll be able to clinch 9th place? Maybe he does. Because he is actually, if I take a quick look over at the timings, a lap ahead of Wardy, so he could get 10th place there actually. But yeah, really strange on that. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. And it's Bruce Law here on 0 litres of fuel as well. Let's hop on board with him. He's still going flat out. He's probably going to make it to the end, but and it's going to be Bruce Law who wins the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship for the 2nd year in a row. Fantastic win from him. He's been dominant all season long, and he's just stayed consistent and clean throughout this entire race. And a well-deserved victory from Bruce Law there. Shame that Immortalis couldn't be here to challenge for him. But could we see some donuts from here, Bruce Law? But no, he's just gone straight back into the pits. Classy as ever. And it's going to be Lil God who takes second place. He's really shaken up the order here. And Little God comes across the line to take second place. Really good showing from him, to be honest. After just rocking up to the race as a reserve driver with no real intention of winning, and just keeping it really quick throughout the whole race and grabbing second. Toasty comes across the line in third. Jonah is going to come across in fourth. He's currently just going through the bus stop. Plenty of fuel to make it to the end there with 3 litres. And it's Team Angie is going absolutely wild. Huge Bruce Law fan there in the chat. And it seems that Dirt Diggler is sat there in 10th, but he hasn't retired. So I believe that he will still get a few points. That could make all the difference. I'm not too sure though. So that was quite clever of him there to not retire to the pits, because that would have sent him right down to the back of the grid. But he was in fact a lap or two ahead of Wardy, and that will give him a few points. Who are we waiting for now to cross the line? I believe it's just Spankmeyer and Green Games. Spankmeyer comes into the pits there. He's only got 1 litre of fuel left. Oh, why on earth has he done that? But the clock hits 0 there. And it's Bruce Law who wins here at Daytona to win the Flux Motorsport LMP2 Championship for the 2nd time in a row. Fantastic race from him there. He's kept it clean, consistent and quick throughout the whole season. Just lurking in the shadows on most races, but getting enough points to seal a win in the championship. Lil God takes 2nd place. Good showing from him, as I've said multiple times already. McToasty in 3rd, Jonah is in 4th. He'll be disappointed with that result after his win last time out in Indianapolis. Spankmeyer is in 5th, Green Gaming 6th, Tyjo all the way down in 7th after getting that 33-second penalty. Chris M Sport doesn't quite make it to the line in time, but gets 8th place. Paul Schman in 9th, Dirk Diggler in 10th. Still hangs on to a point there, although he does get DNFs. Actually, he probably won't get any points at all. And Wardy takes 11th there. Well, thank you all very much for joining me, not just for this race, but for the entire season. We've had a hell of a season. There's been ups and downs, a bit of tension, and a lot of strategy. I hope you all enjoy the break that we've got now to take some time off. But thank you all very much as ever for joining me. And this is Giacomo signing off for the last time this season in the LMP2 Championship. Thank you very much and good night.